So I told myself I wasn't gonna start this vlog till I got home and I could vlog on like my real camera, but I feel like y'all have dealt with your good share of phone vlogs, so hello. This is my attempt at filming daily vlogs. So today is Wednesday,
my dudes,
the 1st of April. The last book that I read is Imagine Me, which I have a separate vlog for that should be up before this is out. I had a blast and I really enjoyed reading it. So I was tempted when I got my physical copy to just do a second reread, but I think I'm gonna give it a couple weeks. Can I do this? Is that better? Editing me is gonna be annoyed that I have to flip that clip, but for me, I'm still working. I'm a working girl, but I know that a lot of you aren't. And I see the reaction when I post videos that like, oh my gosh, this has made my day. Not to be like self-congratulatory that my videos are the light of the world, but I just want to offer something right now, spread some of that joy. The book I'm currently reading is the second book in a series. I started Kingsbane by Claire Legrand. I realized last night that Claire Legrand's last name does not have an E at the end of it, and I could have sworn it did. So now I'm like in a world of shook. Also, while we're talking Mandela, that's Mandela. But there's a second thing that I've been thinking of recently. I need to know if I'm the only one. Maybe this was just a me thing, but I swear to God it's Mandela effect. The way Instagram used to be spelled, was it always Instagram one word where the I was capitalized? Or did it used to be spelled Instagram all one word, but the I was capitalized and the G was capitalized, so it was like Instagram? Maybe I just misspelled it that way and thought it was right, but I still capitalize the G in Instagram as if it's like a remnant from it used to be spelled that way, but I don't know if I'm just losing my marbles. Let me know if anyone else has that problem or if it used to be spelled that way, just for my peace of mind. Anyway, this is the second book in the Furyborn series, which I think is called the Imperium trilogy. So the first book is these two characters that exist in like 1,000 years apart. The earlier perspective is of Queen Riel, who has magic and her world has magic, and instead of just having one magical ability, she has all 7. So she goes through like these trials to prove to the king that she has all the powers, because she fulfills the prophecy that the kingdom has always had, that there's going to be 2 queens with a lot of power. One is going to be like the Blood Queen and she brings terror to the land, and one's the Sun Queen who like is great. So she's trying to show that she's the Sun Queen and she's gonna save the land or whatever. The other perspective is Eliana, who exists 1,000 years later. There's no more magic. She works for this like really corrupt government that took over her country, and she's a bounty hunter, and she just works whatever scrap job just to get by and feed her mom and her brother, until one day she's assigned to kill the Resistance's top hunter. But then he actually seeks her out because he's like, hey, I need your help with something. Do you want to work together? So she has to go from wanting to hunt this person down to actually being on his side. It deals with magic and angels, and I am currently on page 30. So really got super far. And if you're wondering why I'm in my car in a parking lot, I had a grocery pickup for like 5 p.m. but I just got a call that it's gonna be actually 6 p.m. because they're running behind. I get it. I love them. They're working their hardest. We stan. I decided that instead of like going home and coming back here at 6 p.m, this is a grocery store like right next to my apartment, and I was like, I'll just sit in my car and read for an hour, because if I go home, I know I'm just gonna sit on my couch and like go on Twitter. So I would much rather do this with my time. So I'm gonna read, then I'm gonna get some groceries, then I'm gonna go home. I have been running around my kitchen like a headless chicken trying to cook this recipe. I got everything chopped up and ready to go in my sauce. Then I realized Kroger was out of pasta sauce. So now I'm just gonna have dry pasta and vegetables. I don't know if any of y'all care about like cooking novels. Witty chef. But I'm making like chickpea pasta with garlic, olive, zucchini, mushroom. But update on the reading. I only got like 10 pages into my book. I forgot how uncomfortable my car is. I could not find a comfortable reading position in my car to save my life, and I know that's such a first world problem. But like if you're not in like the mood to read and you're not like cozy, then I didn't want to force myself to read. Whatever, I'm just gonna eat olives. I'm over it. Can I help you? I think I salvaged it. My mom left tomato paste at my house when she was making chili the other week. So, I don't know. Do I regret what I've done? Kind of. We'll see if it's good. I keep thinking I see cat hairs in it. I don't know if that's a cat hair or a string of cheese. Also, I definitely unveganized it because I added cheese. Bon appetit. Did I snap or did I snap? I think there's too much vegetable broth because I think this girl uses vegetable broth instead of like oil to saute. Are you supposed to saute in oil? I don't know anything. It tastes really vegetable brothy, but all right, the vegans win this round. I think the last time I filmed a clip, I was like, I'm gonna vlog every day during quarantine, and then that didn't happen. It's Good Friday, I have work off, things are feeling great. I figured instead of like sitting down and watching a YouTube video right now, I'm gonna slice up my strawberries to put them in the fridge, and I'll update you on my life. I think it's gonna start off with like me confronting what I've been feeling about filming lately, which I've been having trouble like wanting to film videos. There's not the same passion that I had for it when I was a teenager. And I'm trying to tell myself, like, it's because I'm older. Like, I'm not just gonna rush home from school and like collapse on my floor and film a video. Like, I just don't have that same like fangirl energy to just film videos off the fly like that. And like, were those videos good quality? Not really. I keep comparing my level of enthusiasm for making videos to like me when I first started my channel, when I was like, I will film anything. I will film 7 videos back to back. And now it's just like I can barely get through filming 1 clip without feeling super bad about it. And like, ooh, I don't know if that turned out well. And there's like a bigger discussion that I could make about like how filming vlogs is really impacting the way that I read. Because right now I'm reading like a book a week, which is for an average person spectacular. But if you're trying to film a weekly reading vlog, that kind of just becomes individual vlogs about each book I'm reading. So it's like, let me just vlog a week of me reading the same book. And that is so much effort for a video that could literally just be a book review whenever you're done reading the book. So it's kind of hard to motivate myself to make a video about me reading a book when I can just be filming like a sit-down review video at the end of the week rather than updating every day. And I know 2 comments are gonna emerge out of this video clip. It's gonna be like, we will watch whatever you upload, we love you, and stop cutting strawberries like that, I'm scared you're gonna cut yourself. So for both, thank you for your support. As much as I appreciate that like y'all will watch anything and be like, this is great, like I also have to feel good about it. And if I don't feel good about a video, then I'm not gonna be proud of what I uploaded, you know? I just don't know what to do. Like, you can't really force your inspiration to come back to film videos. But I don't want to take a break, because like when I take breaks, I don't come back re-energized. I'm just like, ugh, let me go back, you know? Like, I don't think it's a thing that I need to be taking a break for. And like, I have a list of video ideas that I think would be cool, but I just get like so self-conscious on camera now, and every time I turn on a camera I just feel so fake. Like if I do sit-down videos, I feel so fake. I don't know what it is, but it's just so hard to like be myself. That's my mini rant on how I'm feeling lately, and there's really no call to action or solution. I'm just like letting you know that if I don't upload, it's because I have those feelings. And I don't think it's related to coronavirus. I don't think it's a slumpy thing just this month. I think it's like it's been happening for years. Like, when people say like, oh, I'm so proud of this video, I haven't had a video I'm proud of in years. And I don't know how much of it plays into like being a mainstream booktuber. Same. I don't know how much of it plays into like me being a mainstream booktuber where like I want to do promotions and like talk about all the books coming out and like do most anticipated, you know, like just do like normal booktube content versus like me doing my like meme little vlogs and then getting ignored by like publishing companies and stuff. It's really hard to decide like where I want to be in all this. When it comes down to it, this is literally one of my jobs. Like, I need this income. That sounds so bad. I'm just like, I'm gonna continue uploading because I need money, but like that's literally a little bit truthful. And it's not like I don't enjoy this at all. Like, I'm forcing myself to make videos, but I don't know what's wrong. I don't know how to fix it. I just need to address that there is a lack of willingness to produce content regularly, and I don't really know how to get out of that funk. This wasn't supposed to be a 10-minute rant about me feeling left out of booktube, but I think I'll leave that discussion on a back burner. I think it was more for me than for you to hear that. I'm done with that discussion. Let's now talk about what I'm currently reading. I don't have the book cover on this right now, but I'm reading Kingsbane. Try not to get strawberry marks on it. I'm on page 388 out of like 550. Like I said, I've been really reading books slowly. I've been coming home from work and like just wanting to lay in bed and watch YouTube and just like do easy stuff that doesn't require my mental concentration. And like another thing personally is like I've had one of my worst weeks at work last week. I just had a week where I was burnt out and I really need this 3-day weekend because it's just been rough. Everything changes so fast, so like one day you'll be rushing to do something and then the next day it's obsolete. All these little adjustments that are needed every day. So I just had a week where it was like difficult to drag myself out of bed and get to work. I'm almost done cutting these strawberries, and when I'm finished I have a couple books to show you that I got recently. I've been not buying books, except I made an exception to support, well, made an exception for Imagine Me, and then I also wanted to support my local bookshop. So in Dallas we have this bookstore called Intrabank Books. After I finished Kingsbane, I want to finish the Nevernight trilogy, so I ordered the 3rd book from them. So I think that's the only book that I've like officially purchased this year other than Imagine Me, and that's another discussion I wanted to talk about. I've just got so much to say. This is just gonna be like a one-clip vlog of me ranting about booktube while cutting strawberries. I don't watch booktube. Is that controversial, or do y'all understand? I just find it so difficult to watch bookish content, both because I kind of have to be in the mindset to care, and like I have to be like, okay, this is gonna be about not intellectual stuff, but you know, like it's not the same as watching a slime unboxing or whatever else I watch on YouTube. It's a very diverse list. It's difficult to want to do booktube when you're not really participating in it. So yeah, I feel like I have such a set TBR that I'm like, I don't need to watch anyone else's booktube videos because I don't want more books to add to my TBR because I have so many. So I'm just kind of chugging my way through what I have. But one thing I have learned about myself, like I used to be afraid in college. I'm like, what if I don't like reading but I just do it because I get clout for it? I've realized as I've slowed down my vlogs and stuff that that's false. I really enjoy reading, so I'm kind of glad that I could clarify that about myself. Okay, strawberries all finished. So one of the books that I got in the mail, I don't know if I've explained this before, but I got book of the month in November so I could buy myself a book for Christmas, and then I never canceled it. And I've tried canceling it and they won't get back to me, so I'll probably have book of the month until I die. Book of the month never releases stuff that I'm interested in. It's very like thriller and literary fiction based, whereas I'm more romance and fantasy and like whatever else I read. They had this book this month and I've seen several glowing reviews, people saying it's their favorite book of the year, so I thought like if I have a credit and I can't cancel my subscription, I might as well just buy it. So I wanted to try out Beach Read by Emily Henry. This is a romance book. I think it's like a literary fiction-esque romance book. I don't think it's like fun, trashy. I don't know. There's a division in my head of like romance books that are like smutty and just playful and don't think too hard about them versus romance books that are a little bit more tasteful. Either way, this book is about these two people who go to a vacation at their beach houses and they live next door to one another for a summer. They're both writers. One of them is a literary fiction author, so he's like very serious. He's not afraid to kill characters, like, you know, kind of that person. And then the other person is a woman who writes romance books, and she's like a hopeless romantic and she just wants everything to have a happily ever after. That summer they both have writer's block, so they, even though they seem to be opposites, they interact more and more with one another. And I love the concept of this book because it just seems like it's going to be that idea of like the male characters like grumpy and pessimistic and cynical versus a female love interest who's like bright and sprightly and so optimistic. So it sounded cute. I'm gonna walk you into my bedroom because I have one more book that I got. I received a lovely present from Amazon from a Danielle. So Danielle, if you're watching this, I've received your gifts. Thank you. I got home and was like, I did not order from Amazon. What is this? But it was a lovely surprise. I really appreciate you. Thank you for watching my videos. So Danielle sent me, I don't know what this book is called. Is it called Crescent City or House of Earth and Blood? I don't know. Sarah J. Maas's new adult fantasy book. I've heard mixed things on this. People have said like it doesn't get good till page 600. Great things to look forward to in an 800-page book. This involves werewolves and like different species, and the main character's name is Bryce. I really have no idea much else than that, but I've read like the first couple pages, and as much as I want to sit here and be like, Sarah J. Maas isn't my favorite author, every time I read one of her books I get really immersed in it and I emerge from it feeling like I could beat up anyone, so I'm walking around my apartment like but I'm just a puny little girl, so I just like the vibe that her books have and like the way that they stick with me, and they like, the characters get in my head and like make me feel like I can conquer the world. So if this is anything like those characters, or if this has like the same angst as Akamath, I don't know. People have said it's a superior book. Some people say it's way too long, which I'm sure is probably true, but I'm gonna be reading some hefty fantasy books back to back, and this is gonna be one of them because my friend Rachel just read this and gave me her copy to lend me, so I have 2 copies now. Hello. So this is now 2 people who personally gave me a copy because they want me to read it. So I won't let you down, Danielle or Rachel. So I'll probably read that after I finish the Nevernight trilogy. Okay, we've had a wardrobe change, lifestyle change, everything changed. My dinner is almost done. I made like a tamale casserole. I read for like 2 hours out on my balcony. It feels great today. So I just feel accomplished. I got pretty far in my book. I'm on page 500 exactly. So I've got like 80 pages left. That'll take me a little over an hour. I'm gonna hold off on my thoughts until the end of this video when I finish the book, because I have a lot of thoughts. I figure I might as well just do like a full review while we're here. Here is my dinner, by the way. I know I hyped it up, so I wanted to show you. You can't have any. She keeps meowing at me and I don't know what she wants. What's up? You okay? You're never this loud. What do you need? What? So I picked up some lactose-free ice cream from the store. I've only got an hour left of my book. We're about to divide and conquer. Good morning, vlog squad. I'm still kind of waking up, but hi! So I didn't record any of yesterday. I've been FaceTiming with my friends a lot more so I can feel less lonely. When I'm FaceTiming, I don't really feel like picking up my camera, but long story short, hey, it's the next day. I finished Kingsbane, and this would have been a really good book to record my reaction to the ending because I literally was gasping out loud. And I'd heard that the end of this book is kind of cruel, so I was like, I'll just have a cliffhanger. Oh my gosh, it was so good. I gave book 1 like 3.5 stars. I gave this one a full 5 stars. But my full review for this book, even though it took me like 2 weeks to read, I loved it. As you can see, I have a ton of sticky tabs. This book has so much angst, and like the characters pining for each other is so well written. I also really like that both main characters are like fluid in their sexuality, so it doesn't say if they're bi or pan, but they are definitely like boys and girls. And a really good thing about this book is that there's no homophobia. It's really normalized that you can like any gender. So there's like 2 kings on the throne, or there's 2 queens on the throne, and they'll be like, oh, we passed a kissing couple and it was 2 girls, and like that's just normal. So I love how normalized it is in this. Also, like the first book, this is really sex positive. It's very descriptive of the sex scenes, which I'm trying not to be as an adult like, yes, all YA books need sex, because like no, but I really enjoy that they're written out and they're really tasteful and they're really sweet. So yeah, I like that this book talks about sex and has sex, and the characters deal with periods and birth control. Like, it's very candid and raw, and a lot of books will skim over that, so I like that it includes those discussions. Like the first book, this book is dual POV from someone who like destroys the world versus someone who is gonna rebuild the world. I don't think that's a spoiler because it's like a prophecy that you hear about in the epilogue of the first book, so I like that there's one perspective of someone who has like been bestowed that she needs to save the world, but she's like, I'm just a girl, like how am I supposed to do this, versus like the anti-hero. And so I think those are really 2 distinct voices that I really enjoyed hearing about. I will say I preferred Eliana's chapters, who was the person whose chapters are set in the future. One of my complaints about the first book was I feel like it was doing too much. Bitch, you doing too much. It was a fantasy book, it was a powers book, it was an angel book, it was a scientific experiment book, and there were a couple points in this book where I still felt like that was a little bit, she bit off more than she can chew, but this dealt with it so much better that I didn't feel like we were overwhelmed with different plot points. The only thing I would say about the plot in this is that sometimes it would just jump into things really fast with little explanation. Like there's a huge plot point in this book that I honestly wasn't seeing coming, and I didn't know that I would like, but I ended up liking it. But it was really under-explained, that it was like, oh, we're gonna do this thing, and then without explaining like why that was significant or like how that could change the course of history, they just did it. So I feel like this needed to slow down at certain points and like tell us what was was happening, because there's also a couple different armies in here, and sometimes it would be like, oh, we're going to team up with this army, or this army is coming to invade, and I'm like, who is that? But like I said, I gave this 5 stars. I cannot wait until October for the last book to come out, and I'm going to be harassing source books for a copy. I think I'd overheard some people say they liked this series, but I didn't really give them much credit because not a ton of people were talking about it, but oh my god, it's so good. You have to pick these up. This is like a 600-page book, but it's so worth it. It's so turbulent. The romance is just next tier, so good. I love Simon, I love Audric, I love Riel, I love Eliana. Like, everything is so sweet. The dialogue is so well crafted and realistic and smart. The writing is just impeccable, so like, you gotta try this. So then next, I wanted to either pick up God's Grave or the new Sarah J. Maas book. I don't even know what it's called, House of Earth and Blood or something. So I started House of Earth and Blood, but it's in a world where it's like a fantasy world, but there's like technology. So it was just reminding me of Onward, the movie, and I couldn't take it seriously. So I kept putting it down, and like, it's an 800-page book right after I've read a 600-page book. So I was looking at my TBR shelf and I realized I have this book to read. This book is called Somebody Told Me by Mia Siegert. It comes out this month. I don't know if it's already out or if there's still a couple weeks to wait, but by the time I upload this, it'll probably be out. This is a YA contemporary book about a character named Alex or Alexis. They are bigender, so some days they go by Alex, some days they go by Alexis. They prefer the term bigender over like gender fluid because it's typically a very binary shift between whether they are feeling male or female that day. They are really into cosplay and anime and costuming, which sounds cringy, but it's actually well written. Like, not to judge anyone who's into that, but like, typically I would find that off-putting, but it's not something you should be worried about like I was. Something happens, kind of traumatic, and they end up feeling unsafe at their hometown, so they go to live with the only other family they have, which is an aunt and uncle who work in a Catholic church. Like, her uncle's a priest. And so I'm only on page 75. There's about 250 pages, and I really like so far the commentary on the church in this, like talking about acceptance and hypocrisy. The writing is really awesome. I've read Mia's debut book called Jerkbait, and the reason I loved that is because it was just so realistic, written really well, and just felt like real teenagers. And so this one's definitely following in its footsteps really nicely. It has really smart, nuanced discussions about things. It's not in your face preachy, but it still has a good message. It talks a lot about the main character having intrusive thoughts that are really negative and like feeling like they're a fake trans person for identifying the way that they do. And so it talks about like the inner workings of this really troubled person. So I'm enjoying it. A couple hours ago, I finished Somebody Told Me by Mia Siegert. At the beginning, I was really feeling it, but by the end of it, I feel like this book tried to confront an entire religion and all the problematic elements within that religion, but it was only a 250-page book, so it was not full fleshed out enough. I could see where the author was coming from, and I know it's important to call out like the corruption within Catholicism and the hypocrisy, but also this book's main character was a bit hypocritical, and there were just a couple scenes that conflicted for me that made this hard to relate to them, or not even relate to them, but just like see where they're coming from. This character makes a lot of assumptions about people, and it's always like the worst case scenario. They only make like 2 friends in the congregation, and every time that something happens, they like assume that their friends are guilty, and it's like these people just told you that they think it's okay to be gay and like they are pro-choice, so it's like these are the most cool people in the church, and you're sitting here being like, oh, they might have been a rapist. So it felt like the reader knows who's at fault, but the character didn't figure it out until like the last chapter. So the entire time I was just like, why are you villainizing your friends when clearly it's this other person? So that was really grating on my nerves. And also a big part of the plot that I didn't think was that realistic is, so the reason that Alex or Alexis moves to their aunt and uncle's house is because they want to recover from a sexual assault that just happened to them. But the ending of this book is that the main character is going to use themselves as bait to make a sexual predator like pursue them so that they can get evidence that this person's a rapist or at least like a pedophile. And it just doesn't make sense to me why, when this person is trying to escape sexual abuse, why are they then putting themselves in that position to be abused. So for a story about healing and getting over sexual assault, it just seemed really backwards. So I just think it could have been handled better, and there's just several elements in the plot where I feel like it was really rushed. It did a disservice to a nuanced discussion of things, and the author's note definitely talks about how Mia did their research and, you know, consulted like people who were nuns, people who go to, what's it called, cemetery at the school? That's where people are buried. Seminary? Like, there's clearly some research that went into this, but I feel like it still very heavily was geared toward people who aren't Catholic, which I'm not sure why a Catholic person would pick this up and be like, oh yes, we should dismantle the church. But I almost feel bad for Catholics because this book did them dirty. It's kind of stereotypical. I think it would have been an interesting angle to see from someone within the organization and like how they can still deviate from the stereotypical beliefs that a Catholic would have and how you can have your own personal relationship with God. Like, I think that was an interesting discussion. But then the main character is this outsider who just has completely opposing views, and it was almost like disrespectful to read from them. As much as I agree with a lot of what they were saying, it just didn't really leave that much room for nuanced discussion. I get what this book was trying to do, but I think that it could have been handled in a much lengthier story, and rather than making it like a life or death situation, like in the end this almost became a thriller where like people were dead and in the hospital. I think it could have just been handled like as a personal story of healing with like a couple elements thrown in, but this book was trying to take like every bad thing the church does and spin it into a story about how that's bad. It's like you could have just focused on like one or two things rather than trying to show like how the entire establishment fucks up. It's really difficult to pin this review into a couple succinct points because I think there's several things that went wrong, but I get the intention and I liked the main character, like especially the relationship with their mom and dad was super sweet. So I enjoyed that this was already someone who was like confident in their identity and their labels, but this book just felt undercooked to me. So as much as I enjoyed it for the representation and like the characters' relationships with people around them, the actual plot of it and the whole church conflict could use some scrubbing. So I settled on 3 stars, but yeah, that was my experience with this book. I read it in a night, so it's a great, easy book, but I think a book like that shouldn't be that easy. Now we're back to my original dilemma last night, which is, do I read God's Grave or House of Earth and Blood? I started this one, and this one's gonna be like more difficult for me to want to care about, so I'm like, should I just get it out of the way? I don't know, but I at least wanted to update you that I finished that one book. It was alright. I'm back in bed. Nothing's changed except it's now nighttime and I have slices of cheese. Since I already started it, I'm just gonna read, what's this called? House of Earth and Blood. So I made it to page 100 exactly. It's very satisfying. Rachel, who lent me this book, told me that it takes about 50 pages to pick up, and I really agree. I had to read like half of that out loud just to stay focused on it. There's a lot of world building, and it's not excruciating to read, but definitely you have to like find the groove and be like, what's happening? I like it. I can tell why it's adult. They were snorting Fey Coke on like page 40. This main character is definitely a partier. We've already been introduced to the love interest, or who I'm assuming is the love interest because he's in the synopsis. I'm a fan. I just love how like literally every magical species that exists is in this book, and she was like, I'm gonna make my main character a fae. I don't think I even gave you a synopsis of what this is about. So this is about a main character named Bryce. Like I said, she's half fae. She's just like a partier. She's 23, she's chilling. And then her best friend, who is the leader of a wolf pack, as well as the entire wolf pack, gets brutally murdered by this demon. She was the only witness. Hunt, who is our lead male character, is kind of on the case for like who killed them. And so Hunt and Bryce have to work together to sort of solve what happened to our friend. And within that, I think there's like some politics about like how Hunt is like technically enslaved to the archangel that he works for, because Hunt is an angel. So I think he's doing this to like buy his freedom. I don't know what Bryce's storyline is gonna be, but yeah, they're basically solving like, what is this? And so far so good. It's not like the best thing I've read, but it's also not terrible or boring. I'm gonna read right now. I have cheese and crackers, and tomorrow I'm going over to my family's for Easter, so I'm gonna hopefully read all day tonight, all day tomorrow morning. That made no sense. But I'm so happy that this 3-day weekend was successful. I've already finished 2 books. So I've now made it to page 148, and I'm realizing now this book is kind of a typical Sarah J Maas book. It's this warrior character who's so badass and so snarky and negative, and then this female character who's so strong and doesn't need a man, except she literally needs a man to protect her. It's very much falling into what I feel like Sarah J Maas's books tend to be geared toward. On that end, I don't think it's super inventive. I'm not like, oh my gosh, this plot is so genius. But you know, I am here for nice enemies to lovers. I don't know if that'll be the case or not. I've heard there's not porn in this book, which is really upsetting, but we shall see. I still have 600 pages left. I have that one TikTok song, Super Lonely, stuck in my head, so I'm like, I've been lonely. Ooh, ah, yeah. Sha-la-la-la. Good morning. It is Easter Sunday. I made myself a bowl of sorrel. This is the first Easter that I've woken up and I'm living alone and there's not an Easter basket at the foot of my bed. I guess by default that means I'm also not eating candy for the first year for breakfast. I told my mom I would be at their house around noon, and it's 10 a.m. right now, so I've got about 2 hours to get further into Crescent City. It's not called Crescent City. House of Earth and Blood. I made it to page 156 last night. I think it's gonna be like a 4-star book. Like, it's fun to read, I like the characters, but it's not like so new and interesting. Also, it's kind of a murder mystery, which I really could care less about. It's not precisely my jam, but I'm not mad. For as long as it is, it could be a lot worse, and I'm not really feeling bored at this point. So we're making our way downtown, walking fast. I just finished washing my face. I'm gonna get comfy in bed. I'm dreading going to work tomorrow because I have to do a volunteer shift, which I shouldn't be talking about like dreading going to work because I feel bad when I do. I'm basically doing like manual labor tomorrow for 3 hours, and I'm not used to doing manual labor for 3 hours every Monday. And I'm so out of shape, and so every time I go into work on Mondays, I'm like really nervous about it. But enough about my personal life. I don't think I read that much more into this book at my parents'. I'm on page 213. I will say it's not like predictable or anything. It's just like expected of Sarah J Maas. If you would have given this to me and not told me who wrote it, I could probably pinpoint it's Sarah J Maas. It's kind of what I would consider like her stereotypical character personalities. Now I'm just cranky thinking about work tomorrow, so I'm gonna get lost in this book. Hopefully it can cheer me up. And then I also have some snacks from my Easter basket, so thank you, Mr. Easter Bunny, for providing me with at least some happiness. But I guess we're just gonna pull out all the stops and get emo in this vlog, but I'm also like hating my body more than ever at this point in my life. It's like I was just getting to the point where I was going to the gym at my apartment, which I hadn't been doing since I moved in September, and then coronavirus was like and yeah, I could go outside and walk. There's a trail literally right outside my apartment. I could go walk that every day, but I just don't. And I feel terrible all the time for not exercising, and I just sit here eating junk, and I'm like, why am I getting heavier? Maybe I should just cry myself to sleep instead of reading. Shrimps and I both just finished our dinners. I found my new favorite little filming nook. I think I discovered this windowsill is the perfect height to film on, like back when I first moved in here, and then I just forgot. So we're back. I don't want my channel to become like me needing career advice, but what I thought was gonna be an okay week just turned into a not okay week. And it's because I have like a thing tomorrow at 8 a.m. I have to go to a press conference type deal. I'm so locked into the mindset that like all I want to do is sit at my desk all day and that's it. Like, I don't know how to overcome that laziness. Like, I have to get out into the field and do some stuff sometimes. And I know it's like a me thing where like even during school when they'd be like, all right, we're gonna go take a walk or we're gonna go to this place. Like, I just wanted to sit in my desk and do nothing, which is why I look the way I do. I'm trying to like spin this thing that I don't want to do into a positive. I don't know if you can tell, but it's getting harder to be positive. So when I can't be positive, I look to outside forces to make me feel positive. And one of those things is I got book mail today. I think I've already hinted that I bought this, so you probably know what it is, but I own so many books and I got so many books for Christmas. I don't want to take in any new books. Like, of course there's books that I would like to read, but I'm not fiending to get to them because I have so many already. So this is from Intrabank Books in Dallas, one of the more popular indie bookstores in my area. They're doing free shipping right now, so even though this book was full price, I was like, I'm gonna support, and then I know I'm gonna read this book soon, so that's kind of my 2 reasons there why I went for it. So the book I bought, oh my god, this is gorgeous in person. I got Dark Dawn by J. Kristoff, which is the 3rd book in the Never Night, I can't not say that word in New Zealand accent because of Jamie, the Nevernight trilogy. So I read book 1 and loved it. It was amazing. So I wanted to read book 2 and then read book 3. So now I have them all and I can just load them up and read them in order. So that was my one purchase of this month. It's gonna be worth it because I know I'm gonna love it. Everyone's telling me I have to read it, I have to read it. So now that I have the last 2 books, I'm gonna read them back to back and it's gonna be great. But like we all know, I'm still in the middle of this mammoth. I didn't read that much at work. I got to page 228. What was supposed to be a relaxing night has now turned into an anxious night because I'm dreading going to that thing tomorrow. I'm too lazy to lean forward and turn off the camera, but that's the end of this clip. Hey everyone, it's a couple days later and I realized as I was editing what I have of this vlog that we are nearing 40 minutes. If I wait until I'm done with this book, I think it's gonna be maybe another half week or so. So I'm just gonna end this vlog here even though I'm leaving you on a cliffhanger. But I will give you my sort of final thoughts on this book as much as I can. Right now it's at like a 3-star rating for me. I'm almost to page 400, so now I'm like halfway through. It's just so unnecessarily long. I'm getting to the point that I usually do with Sarah J. Maas books where it's like I start skipping the chapters I don't care about. Also, I just don't love how like the technology is in this world. It just takes me out of the action when there's like this brutal murder by demons, when the guy is like, hey, can you record the sports game for me tonight? Something about it just like trivializes the entire action. So that's kind of weird to get used to. And also, this whole book has been like these 2 people are working together, like he's assigned to protect her. They cannot fall in love. It's against the rules. And I just got to this part of the book where there was a huge reveal over like who a suspect might be. And the entire scene that they're talking about it, he's just looking at her like so horny because he saw her shoot a gun that day. And like Heather from Aphrodite Reads tweeted, Hunt is just Rhysand except Republican. And now I see it. It's because he's like freaking out that she can shoot a gun and like she's good at holding a gun. And I'm like, ugh. So anyway, they're in this scene talking about like who the suspect might be and he's staring at her toes and he says like, I just want to taste her toes. And I'm like, no, Sarah J. Maas. So this book has equal parts good and bad. Honestly, if this were a library book, I probably would return it and DNF it because I don't think it's worth how long it is. But I'll stick around for this apparently huge plot twist that makes the book good when you reach page 600. And then maybe I'll call myself a clown for saying that it wasn't that good. But I'm gonna have to leave you here. Thank you for watching this vlog. Hope you're having a wonderful life. Bye.